Hello and welcome to the show. I am here today on automation with a building challenge. I saw this one suggested and I was very curious to give it a go. I'm going to be attempting to build a car to compete in the super touring era of the British touring cars, often regarded as one of the best eras for the motorsport. Yeah, I'm going to try and build a car that would compete in it. I've set my tech level to 1999 as kind of the highest tech I can go to. That's I think 99 was kind of the last season they ran as Super Touring before they changed. But yeah, so we are a little bit limited in terms of tech, but still we'll have plenty of stuff. Not really worried about budget because these are going to be high-end race cars. The first thing we need to do, of course, is pick a body style. Now, a people mover, not a people carrier, a people mover, not going to work. I mean, I could try to do a Volvo and make a people mover. Well, Volvo made an estate work. I'm not so sure the people mover will will be the. Likewise, I'm not sure a truck is going to be the right way to go. Now we can go for a 95 sedan or a 92 sedan. That's kind of like the 85 coupe is kind of it's kind of looking vaguely. I mean, the 87 coupe is NSX styly, not quite right. 85 coupe as well might just about be okay. I think we'll play it safe, and we will. There's two 95 sedans. What's the difference? It's one's slightly longer wheelbase, one's slightly wider. So one's slightly longer, the other one's slightly wider. What was it? Did I say drag? Drag 0.261. Drag 0.3. I think higher drag bad. That's kind of a Crown Vic. We're not going to go for that. I guess we'll go for the 95 sedan then. Any preferences? I guess we want short wheelbase. Yeah, we'll go with short wheelbase and slightly wider. That sounds like a good idea to me. Right, okay, so panel material. Fiberglass would probably be what you would have as the panel material on a race car. Very, very light, cheap to repair when it falls off. And this was Super Touring era, so there would be a lot of bodywork falling off the cars. Chassis, we would probably have, I would imagine, a monocoque chassis. I don't think they... would they have had carbon fibre? I don't know, but it's an option, so I'm going to go with it. We're going to go with a carbon fibre chassis. Front longitudinal. Now, I guess technically these would have all been front-wheel drive, wouldn't they? Come to think of it. Did any of them... I think the Volvo was front-wheel drive. The estate car of the 850R, I think, was front-wheel drive. I think the S40s that were then very quick after it were also... Do we try and make a front-wheel drive one? If we go transverse, we can change this though if we need to. Suspension, of course, we're going to go double wishbone at the front. We want as much sportiness as we can get. I think we'll go multi-link at the back. I don't think we won't quite go all the way for push rod suspension. We'll go multi-link suspension at the back. Again, sportiness is going to be good. Alright, so stick the body. It's kind of like a Passat touring car. Essentially, that's what we're going for. What do we want? Should we go for a different car rather than just go for the Oh, I know what we can do. We can go for... I've just had a thought. We can go for like the Renault Laguna, the old green Renault Lagunas, if we can actually get a paint into the right kind of area. Are we not going to... You're not going to let me... I thought what should be working there. Apparently... No, I know why, because I didn't select it as that one. That's why. Figured it out. Don't mind me. We'll try and go for that nice dark green that the Passats ran in. No, not Passats, sorry. Lagunas ran in. Something like this. I did like... The Renault Laguna was, I think, one of my favourites. From aside from, of course, the obvious, the Volvo estate car being one of the best. I did like the Lagunas. I thought they were brilliant-looking race cars. It's going to give us a little bit wider wheel arches, and there we go. That'll probably do all right for wheels. Can we scoot that bumper in as well? Ooh, maybe not quite that much, because then the chassis sticks out. What happens if we elongate that? There we go. So I don't want such a big lip for the rear bumper, so we'll just elongate the boot a little bit. Voila, that'll do. That'll do for that stuff. Now we need to go for some headlights. Do we try and make some of these fit in a bit bit giant, to be honest with you. I'm trying to get them to fit in neatly around where the bonnet line sits, which is probably not. This is where I can literally faff about for many hours. Ah, that works. I'm okay with that. I'm okay. I can faff for many hours doing this. Doing this stuff on the vehicles. We'll worry about taillights and so on later. Okay, we're gonna want, I reckon, we want like a little grill here, maybe. Oh, with a little grill here. I don't know why it doesn't want to let me extend it any. That's weird. Why not? I want to. It's the grill's melted. Sorry, don't mind me. Don't mind me. We're just. Oh no, that. No, okay, not sure about that. It might be that it's sitting slightly wonky. Maybe we won't go for that. Maybe we'll just go for a big grill and then make it sort of smaller to fit in that section. So something like that. Kind of just looks. Okay, maybe not. We'll come back to that. I kind of do want something there, but I'm not quite sure what we want. We are going to want a fair bit of cooling because I still forget. Well, this is going to be a race car. It's going to have a fairly potent. Well, I say fairly potent engine. The engines. From I did a little bit of research before I started this. Oh, we'd have a happy car. You always need a good happy car in a race. Sorry, I'm going to get distracted a lot. It's the way I play this game, okay? We get distracted a lot by just about everything, and I have fun. I hope you guys have fun watching these. I mean, that's kind of part of the point of it. I have as much fun as I like, but if no one cares about watching it, then, yeah. No, don't like those grills. I've completely got engine. That was the topic where we were heading. The engines for these vehicles, I don't think there was a particular regulation on number of cylinders. They had to be 2 litres. They had to be 2 litres or less. So that's what we're going to try and build and try and get working. I wasn't so sure about the smiley face. No, I'm not actually so sure about these side bits today. Normally I like having the side grills, but it doesn't seem to be working with any of these. I'm trying to go for like a little bit different. That's the... Nope, not going to go for that. What happened? No, again, I'm not liking any of these. It's just not working for me. None of these are working. What if we go for something less? Nope, it's... I don't know. I'm just not happy with any of these working on the front of this car, particularly. I guess we can go for the kind of the gopping face. Might work better when we stick some of these side vents. What can we go? Can we go for this one here instead? That might work. We'll kind of keep it roughly in the same sort of same sort of shape, same sort of style potentially. Don't know if they're quite sat level, but it'll do. And then maybe we can go for a vent up here. Make them a little bit smaller. Give it some more vents along here potentially. And then we want something. Do we want stuff along the bonnet? Probably. Well, we'll see what we kind of need in terms of ducting. I've completely digressed. I was talking about the engines are going to be a little bit. I'm actually having a few troubles with trying to get power up engines on this game. I never used to have I was never amazing at this in terms of building. The really high powered cars. But I used to be okay at getting power out of vehicles. In this Unreal version, may well have been an update at some point that's tinkered around with how things work. I just can't seem to get any power out of the vehicles. It just doesn't seem to work for me. We're going to give the best shot that I can. We're aiming for around the 300 horsepower mark with actually, we don't need an aerial. So I guess you kind of need an aerial of some sort because you're going to be communicating with the team. But it would probably be more like the little shark fin, not the shark. What are these things? Probably, yeah, sure. We'll go with that. It's kind of a shame we can't have a full-on race livery on the cars, or the shame that the number plates don't, not number plates, sorry, the wings don't work because it's going to look dopey. Although this might actually be one of the better attempts at a wing I've seen. We'll go with a better attempt at a wing on this car, maybe. Can we actually have it expand the right way? Oh no, it's going to melt, isn't it, and drip over the side. Go away. Okay, we'll go with a spoiler. We'll go with a spoiler of this manner because it might actually fit on the car a little bit. It's not really a spoiler though, is it? Up any? Oh, now we're just made invisible. Nope. Still don't really work. Them. Still not. Yeah, it doesn't really seem to do anything. Nope. Okay. Ignore that. Oh, we've got aerial sticking out of the side of our touring car. Well done me. Well, so we've got a badge somewhere. Oh, wheels. What wheels do we want to go for? I did just go for the same ones because I don't really like the rest of these particularly. So we'll go for those. That works. I was going to go for a badge of. So we're going to go for something around the back as well, don't we? We'll have to go for some. Oh, I forgot about exhaust as well. Go for exhausts. We'll go with. I can't remember how to use. There we go. That's the thing we want to have. 2 of them. Do we go for central? Might go for central exhausts on this car. You know what? Bugger it. We'll be different. We'll go with central exhausts, and then we will go and fit some of these around the back. Again, just kind of make the back of the car a little bit more interesting rather than just. Oh, I say that. That's a little bit glitchy on the old positioning. Yeah, we'll stick that around there-ish. Kind of sticks out at a slightly peculiar angle. I wonder if. Where was it under? So I seem to remember there was a way of adding like bits to your car to so that you could have like more definition. Definition, I'm not even sure is the right word for it, but more sort of variety other than just all of these big flat surfaces. I swear there was a way to do it, but I got car bumper bar maybe. Oh yeah, so we can have kind of like. Like this, or so you can have like trim along the side of the car if you wanted to do such a thing. Not that I'm particularly clever enough with the old design. I'm not pleased with those vents either. This is basically the I'm not happy with my car. I'm struggling today. I don't particularly know why I'm struggling today of all days, but there we go. I guess we'll get some taillights in, and that'll probably make it look a little bit on the better side. I wonder if we go for like a bigger. We'll get to like the important mechanical bits at some point today. Honest, we'll go for something a little bit different with the back of this one. Right, taillights is what we're going to need. Do we want to go for? I mean, we don't really know. We don't want to go for those. They are hideous. We don't really need to go for indicators on the car per se. I guess you can kind of use them sometimes to like signal you're going into the pits or you're getting out of the way of somebody in a racing situation. But there we go. Right, so that's gonna be it for the look of the car. We've got it's quite a intimidating car. It's an imposing car at the front. I would like to think the back. It'll do. Basically, it'll do. My designing brain is not really working so well. Okay, engine time. As I said, there were a variety of engines, inline 4s. I think the Nissans were inline 4. The Volvos were inline 5s, which sadly we don't have to play around with on here. The Mondeos were V6s. I don't know what the Renault ran. I can't remember. Yeah, there were a variety. As I said, I don't think there was a particular rule on the number of cylinders. They had to just be less than, well, they had to be 2 litre was the maximum for the engine. So I figured we're going to build a little V8 because I don't think any of them would have run with. Oh, can we build a little V2? Ooh, how small a V12? Ooh, new plan. This might not work. Just this should be a general warning. FailRace warning. This might not work. I might have screwed myself completely in my attempts. We're going to build a miniature V12 because I'm sure none of them would have run. Oh, this is going to go so badly wrong. I need to try and get around the 300 horsepower mark. That's what we're going for. I wonder, has anybody ever built a 2-litre V12? Probably not. Probably not. We're going to try and get a relatively high revving V. What were the Formula 1 engines when they were V12s? Were they 3 litre? I don't actually remember what size. Formula 1 engines are always going to be very, very small in terms of litre. They get a lot out of them. Certainly a lot more than I could do on here. We're just going for high fancy grade materials. Right. As I said, we're not going to go for turbos in this. The hope is that we can get enough power without needing to slightly cheat and turbo, because I don't think the Super Tourers did. I could be wrong. but I'm going to try and do it without a turbo. We're probably going to want lightweight forge because we're not going to have a huge amount of torque, simply because the engine's going to be tiny. So we're not going to have a huge... wait, idea. Because we've got like 0.00... We've got a little bit of capacity that we can work with. But if we do this and then... we can't put it down to the what's it called? This thing, the fine-tuning bit. I was trying to think of a clever word for it and can't. Basically, okay, we're going to go for a 1997. That'll have to do. We'll come back to that. I'm not going to turbo it. We will, of course, go for all the racy bits that we can here. I guess super fuel. I don't know what they would have run on. I assume they probably would. RPM limit. We better be getting 8,000 or 9,000, maybe. I would hope so. Out of this, they're almost a pocket V12. I think it's going to fit in the car. Now I've done all this. None. Right, I think it's going to fit in the car. Okay, at the moment it's pretty garbage, the engine, but we can fix that with race. Yep, just many races on the cam profile. We should be fine to go to this sort of RPM. How high can we push it? In fact, the engine will go to 10,500 RPM, which is quite cool. Power-wise, we're actually not... torque-wise, we're terrible. Power-wise, we're not too bad. Put the compression up. I guess just kind of go crazy with the cam. The cam profile is... might as well go variable valve timing on everything. Cam profile is always going to go quite on the crazy end of the spectrum. We can tinker around with the exhaust a little bit to try and find... I think we were actually at about the right... that's going now too big. We're at pretty much the spot-on area there. 293 horsepower. This is right in the ballpark figures that the Super Tourist would have been getting. I think the most powerful was about 300 horsepower. And I can't remember which one. I think the Ford was about 300 horsepower. The Volvo was about 290. So yeah, it was around this kind of area. We are very, very low on torque, but that's probably the price I'm going to pay for going for a silly engine in all of this. It is probably going to be the price. Oh, I remember what we can do. We can kind of do quality, because let's face it, this is going to be a race car. So they're gonna have good quality bits and pieces here and there. I don't want to make it too horrendously expensive, because while of course it is a race car, it's going to it's not quite a Formula 1 car. It will still cost a fair amount, to build and whatnot. So we'll stick some quality up. We're not blowing the engine to bits with any of these sort of things. I mean, it reckons loudness value is very, very high. Very, very high. Good. That's what we want. That's what we want indeed. We have got... I'm not too displeased. I'm not too displeased with the engine. Decent level of power from a baby V12. Now, shall we go and fire it up and see what it sounds like? It might be an interesting sounding engine. I don't actually think I've built a V12 on here before. Yeah, it definitely would have made for a an interesting sounding touring car. I like it. I mean, the power band's not amazing, but I guess you probably, you certainly wouldn't be down in this part of it at any point when you're racing. It might struggle off the line a little bit, but for me building an engine, it could be a lot worse. Yeah, I mean, I'll hold my hands up and say I'm not the best when it comes to engine building, but it's got roughly the figures I want. It's a lot higher RPM than you would get from the... Actually, what would they have revved? They wouldn't have revved to this high. They'd probably been 7,500, 8,000 RPM. You probably would have got with the normal Super Tourer. So we've got a little bit of a different route. We've got a little bit of a different route with this one, but it's not terrible. Okay, there we go. So we're gonna go with front wheel drive. I am gonna build a front wheel drive car. Could this be the first? I just wanted to zoom in to see how the engine fitted in. Could this be the first transverse mounted V12? Would anything about if anybody does know, let me know. I can't think of anything that would have a transverse mounted V12. It's certainly not a normal way of doing things. Thankfully, it all does fit in the car, so I will take that. Now, of course, we're going to have a manual. It'll be a 5-speed. We'll fiddle about with gears in a minute. I guess we would have had a geared limited slip differential. Now, the car is a race car. It will be on semi-slick tyres. Tyre widths, we're probably going to want... 245s would probably be about right, what you would see run on the vehicles in a racing series. Of course, they'd have a controlled tyre, so it wouldn't matter necessarily. We might have a little bit bigger... bigger wheels. We'll go with 18 wheels. They will be alloy wheels on here. Right, brakes. We're going to have some lovely, lovely big brakes at the front. I say we're going to want massive, or fairly massive brakes on here, let's face it, and we're going to go for not quite the same size. You don't need as bigger brakes on the back. You still need big brakes, don't get me wrong, but perhaps don't quite need as bigger brakes on the back. Or with the weight transfer, when you jump on the brakes, a lot of braking is done through the front of the car. So that's why you'll often see a lot more powerful brakes on the front. That's why you'll see in cheap cars of a certain or over a certain age, you will see often disc brakes at the front, drum brakes at the rear. I don't know if any modern cars anymore bother with drum brakes. I suspect not, but yeah, certainly for a while, that is what you would see. We'll get some downforce, but we won't have. We'll go with a little bit downforce up in. We'll go 50, sure. We won't have active aero though, because we probably wouldn't. We wouldn't expect to see that. Now, how are we doing for airflow here? Required cooling 309 cooling capacity, so we've got more than enough cooling. But we got we've got stacks of cooling. So we need, if we go 383, and then we'll give that, if we get that 100, if we get that 50, that should be enough. 60. We've got vented discs as well, so that should be okay. So what's that? 309 plus 60. So yeah, we're still okay. We're a little bit marginal, but again, you're building a race car. It's going to be marginal. That's the whole point of a race car. Unfortunately, I can't have I can't have like a single seat. I can't have like a race thing. So it will have to be 4 seats with sport interior. You're going to have no entertainment. You can have, what's the best for drivability, I guess? A variable hydraulic? Sure. None. Because you're a race car. I guess you can have advanced. I will put advanced because you have roll cage. You've had a super strong chassis essentially on the vehicle. Springs we want. I don't think we wouldn't really have active though, would you? On here, active would be very, very high end stuff. I mean, it got banned in Formula 1 very quickly. I would assume the touring cars wouldn't run with active suspension, so I guess we'll go with standard on here. We want adaptive, and I'm trying to figure out does adaptive mean tunable, or does it mean it will kind of figure it out, will adjust itself as it goes? To me, that would be active, would be electronically controlled adjusting, like as you go around a corner, like auto leveling and that sort of stuff. So I'm going to say that's what the active means. I might be wrong, and adaptive just means adjustable. Okay, that's what we're working with. And again, like semi-active, we'll go with race suspension or race setup on the car. So it's going to understeer like utter crazy because it's 300 horsepower through the front wheel. I say it's going to understeer like crazy. You're not going to get oversteer with it being a front-wheel drive car like this. Let's go and see. We go a little bit more camber. Drivability is fairly good actually at 85%. Sportiness is good at 95%. There isn't really. I mean, apparently this is a track premium car. There isn't really a category for a touring car, like a spec, almost a spec racing series vehicle. So this is never likely to fit into a particular category. Yeah, it'll grip, understeer off into a wall. Basically, is the way that it works. Downforce is okay. Gearing, it reckons the top speed 150. 0 to 60 is 4.8 seconds for a front-wheel drive car. 4.8 is pretty good going. I think our gearing isn't too shabby then. So brake fade is 0, which is good. Power versus traction is a wibbly-wobbly line of, well, look at that. Looks like someone's dropped a ball down the stairs, and this is a graph of it. Don't really know what that means. Braking of things is doing a something. Steering fast at 109 miles an hour, we get a lot of understeer. And then we've got some various graphs. If you know your things, it's a bouncy, bumpy graph. That's the official information on that. It is a bouncy, bumpy graph. The entire car weighs 915 kilos. Pretty good, actually. The bloody economy on this is about as good as the LMP thing I tried to try to build. Weight distribution might be a little bit to the front on this, but I guess you could probably balance it out with I don't know what the weight limit would have been on the cars. I didn't think to look up weight limit. Funny enough, off-road not good, utility not good, to be expected. Practicality not too bad. Sportiness I would hope to be higher. Safety is fairly decent on the vehicle. Let's have a look at some detailed stats. The brake balance is too far to the front. Maybe if we just tune this back a little bit so you're not so bloody crazy on the brake. Or maybe it's, I thought I said bias, it didn't, did it? That was something else. Brake balance. Now, is that under sportiness? Pad type. Why is the pad type wrong? Pad type, I guess if we go... Oh, right, okay, so for some reason, if we have the car... Not quite sure I understand this. So we have the pad type as higher comfort. That's better. I'm not really sure. I'm not really... I want race... I want brakes as powerful as possible on this car. I might just put it back to the 50 because that's where it was happy. I'm not quite sure I understand that one. I've probably got like such powerful brakes that normal people struggle to drive the car. But it's not supposed to be easy to drive, is it? It's supposed to be a race car, so we'll not worry too much about that. Suspension is good, and ride height and roll test and all of that sort of thing. Body roll angle is minimal, I guess. I don't really know. What are the markets? Yeah, so it's essentially a track premium car. Makes sense, to be honest. It's not. It's not good enough. It's only good enough at Gasmia. Is the only place that that it could go. Yeah, I guess track premium is the correct category because it would be a purpose-built sort of race car. Shall we take it to the test track and see? I have absolutely no idea as to what is a good lap time around here. I was curious to see how the gear ratios would work. Yeah, I mean, the thing's going to stay above 6,000 RPM most of the time, so it should be okay in terms of power. Now, I'm just going to fast forward time, just because I want to get a lap time for the vehicle. I will have to make a note of these lap times when I build cars for future reference, and see what sort of comparison-wise we get out of our vehicle. This will be an interesting racetrack to see in a game. It's kind of a combination of about 3 different tracks in one go. And we're going to run across the line. It is a 2:11. So I was trying to figure out where I was going to show you. 2 minutes 11 around the track. No idea if that is any good whatsoever. But that is going to be my vehicle. My can I get back to actually show car? Hey! That's my attempt at building a Super Tourer. Statistically wise, it looks like it's relatively in there. I went for a little bit of a crazy engine because I can. Front wheel drive, V12, 300 horsepower, Super Tourer. Sounds very, very FailRace Industries, if you ask me. That, though, is going to be it for this video. Thank you very much for watching, and until next time, goodbye.